So Laura locks James into this room where he is forced to fight the flesh lip monsters, otherwise known as the lustful lips, which are suspended from the ceiling, right? According to Masahiro Ito of Team Silent, the lips on this monster, which is this, there's a close-up here on the upper left-hand corner. These lips represent the hateful words that came from Mary's mouth during her terminal illness. The frame around the monster is said to be that of a bed. The monsters encased in this bed frame most certainly symbolize a casket as well, right? There are 3 flesh lip monsters that James must fight. Each represent the 3 distinct feminine aspects of James' unconscious struggle with the anima. Remember, the anima is this concept of the feminine spirit or feminine energy inside the masculine heart, right? Every masculine heart has this. Every feminine heart has the animus, or the not the projected, but the masculine aspect of the feminine heart is the animus. So these 3 figures, these 3 flesh-lip monsters, are representations of this unconscious struggle with his anima, and they each of these, they represent Mary, Maria, and Angela, right? And this is a very key point in the game, because this is where James enters the underworld, right? So check this out. So after James, I don't know if you've noticed this, but this, it took me the better part of a year to really go deeply in looking, really go as deeply as I could looking into Silent Hill 2 and creating this presentation. It took me about a year. This is something that came to me really late in my research, but it's very, very significant. So after James is able to vanquish the flesh lips, his vision gets blurry, sirens are heard, and this signifies, of course, the entrance to the otherworld, right? Now, as James awakens, he appears to be wheeled on a gurney down a bloody hallway, and he hears the voice of Maria calling his name, right? Now, I thought this question came to my mind is, could this be a vision of Mary's ghost trying to communicate with James, right? It's kind of a side point, but let me get into my particular point about the otherworld, because this is interesting. This is really interesting. I had an aha moment when I realized this. In Silent Hill 2, the otherworld manifests in order to signify the sacrifice of a character. This happens for Maria, Angela, and Eddie. Now remember, these 3 character aspects of James must die if he is to find any kind of reconciliation with Mary, and, of course, to navigate his way out of the underworld. So this pattern appears in the 3 coins James needs to find in order to solve the puzzle, the coin puzzle. The pattern appears again with the 3 tablets that James needs to obtain in the prison a little bit later in the story. But keep this in mind, because every single time the otherworld manifests and James finds himself there, that signals that a sacrifice is about to happen. And when those sirens start blaring, the siren is calling forth, because what does a siren do? Okay. Sirens are used to signify danger, and they're used to signify something important is about to happen. So the siren in Silent Hill 2 is basically a cue to the audience to say, pay attention. Something very significant is about to happen. So shortly after passing through the blood-stained walls of the corridor, James finds himself outside of the hospital in the rain. Notice he's in the rain. This is going to happen one more time in the game. It's going to happen again in the underworld. Do you remember where this other place is where it rains? We'll see a little bit later. So James finds himself in this enclosure with high walls all around him, right? The rain is a clear indication that his world has changed because James is now fully immersed in the otherworld of Brookhaven Hospital, right? All of a sudden it's raining. It hasn't rained in Silent Hill, and now it's raining, right? He's in the underworld. Okay, so you have to think about this for a second. James is going through this tunnel, or going through this bloody hallway, and he hears the voice of Mary calling his name, right? He wakes up, he's in the rain. Okay? Just keep that in mind. We're going to see this pattern repeat a little bit later. So now James eventually makes his way into the hospital basement where he finds Maria again. And of course he initially thinks she was Mary, right? And James sounds dejected after realizing it's not her. This version of Maria that James encounters exists in the otherworld, right? So this is the unconscious psyche of James going even deeper and trying to get his attention and saying, you need to burn away or let die this aspect of yourself in order to move on, in order to reach reconciliation, in order to grow. You need to let this side of yourself die, and you need to accept it and allow it, right? This is the whole purpose of the otherworld. So given what we know about the nature of the otherworld in Silent Hill 2, this means that Maria will soon be sacrificed, right? Let's watch this entire cutscene, this interaction between James and Maria.
James!
Mary? Oh, Maria. It's you. I thought you were... Sorry. Anyway, I'm glad you're alive.
Anyway? What do you mean, anyway? You don't sound very happy to see me. I was almost killed back there. Why didn't you try to save me? All you care about is that dead wife of yours. I've never been so scared in my whole life. You couldn't care less about me, could you?
No, I just...
Then stay with me. Don't ever leave me alone. You're supposed to take care of me. So, what about Laura? Did you find her?
Yeah, but... she ran away.
We've got to find her.
You really seem to care about her. Do you know her?
I've never met her before. I just feel sorry for her. She's all alone. And for some reason, I feel like it's up to me to protect her.
So Maria really, she lays it out for James, right? She tells James, you couldn't care less about me, could you? So just like Mary did, Maria needs to feel cherished and protected by James, right? Maria invokes some of her Kali energy in this cutscene. It's very intense emotion. You can feel that intense emotion coming from Maria. But it still isn't enough to wake James up. Instead, James responds to Maria with all the passion of a wet rag. James is somewhere else, looking for someone else who isn't there. Of course, this way James remains safe, not having to be present with the intensity of his emotions, much less the emotions of Maria, right? Maria tells James that she is worried about Laura being out there all by herself. This nurturing aspect of Maria is coming out. Or more accurately, James is slowly moving closer to the feminine heart of his anima, or he's moving in alignment with it. The feminine nurturing and healing aspect of his own unconscious, right, is what he's inching towards. He's moving towards that. So in order to exit, and this pattern of 3 comes up again right here. In order to exit Brookhaven Hospital, James must obtain the copper and lead rings, the latter of which Maria hands to James after it is found in an overturned fridge. The 2 rings need to be placed on the fingers of the lady in the door. What many don't realize is that there are 2 more ladies painted adjacent to the door. There is the lady in blue and the lady in green. In the 7 steps of alchemy, lead is the lowest metal, representing the planet Saturn. Saturn is a feminine planet. Calcination is the first rung on the alchemical ladder. Copper is the metal right in the middle of the alchemical hierarchy. It has 3 metals below it and 3 above, so it's right smack dab in the middle. Copper is represented by the planet Venus, which is also a feminine planet. We see this pattern of Mary, Maria, and Angela repeating itself yet again. This is the conflicted, or you could say the fragmented anima or feminine aspect energy within James Sunderland that he's trying to sort out. He's trying to reconcile. He's trying to heal this, right? The passage through this door marks an important ceremony, the reconciliation of the 3 fragments of his anima, right? Or moving closer through that to that reconciliation. This also marks the preparation of sacrifice for Maria, right? In the very next cutscene, what happens? James loses Maria when she is slain by Pyramid Head, right? This sacrificial killing of Maria right in front of James is showing him what bestial desire or the empty fulfillment of the lower self ultimately does to the feminine heart. Namely, it destroys it. Because after all, who slays Maria right in front of him? Pyramid Head, his shadow side, his shadow self. The unfulfilled desire of the self, of the shadow self, takes what it wants, right? In that taking, it destroys the feminine heart, right? So James is seeing this right before his eyes. She's dying again. Of course, James has entered the other world, where he meets Maria again. Surprisingly, Maria is no longer sick, right? Some unexplained miracle happened and she's feeling better. And James enters this other world, which of course signifies the sacrifice. And just after entering the other world and seeing Maria again, she's sacrificed, right? And this happens many times over. Every time the other world is introduced, shortly thereafter, a character or an unconscious aspect of James himself is sacrificed. And we'll see this pattern repeating. So James, of course, is not ready to accept Maria's sacrifice, right? So it must happen again and again until he comes to a certain realization. The same is true for Angela and ultimately for Mary. This happens to all 3 of these female characters.